So what's your opinion on divorce?
It's amazing. It's the best thing that was ever invented by Henry VIII. Sir Henry. Honestly, I'm not too sure about marriage, so I'm all for an escape route. I'm all for a lever that you can pull and just like the bottom just drops right out from under them. You know, if that hadn't have been invented, like Acme, you know, like a Bugs Bunny cartoon, I don't know what I would do, to be honest with you. So I'm all for divorce.
Dysh.
Dish.
Dysh. Dysh.
Hey y'all, it's Onika,
And J.R.
and you are dishing with DaintyDysh. How you doing, JR?
I'm doing good. It's the new year,
2 weeks in.
and I'm just on a grind.
When this is going to be aired, it'll be 2 weeks into the new year.
2 weeks. Okay, so I'm on my grind right now. I'm just working as much as I possibly can to get this thing that we're doing here, this podcast,
This
machine that we're working on. I'm trying to get it well oiled.
Well oiled. We're working on it. We're doing
And
the
then,
best
you know,
we can.
working
I know
on
you're working hard.
your stuff, OnikaDainty.com, you know.
Ooh.
Yeah, we're working on that. And then I've got my little venture that I'm working on, which is taking up a lot of my time.
Very hush hush. Very
I'll
hush stuff.
probably never share it on here anyway, so it doesn't matter.
Probably not. Probably not. He's always working on something.
I love to stay busy. But how are you doing?
I'm doing all right. I'm doing good. Really busy at work. Didn't think I'd ever see the inside of a mall so much, but it is what it is.
Oh, how do you feel now that you got a raise?
I feel good about it because I didn't have to do anything to get it. I didn't have to. It wasn't even earned. It just was like, here, government says this is what's happening, and I'm all for it. So
you're gonna say a nice thank you to Miss Kathleen Wynne.
I would rather send a thank you note to Justin with the good hair just because I want to reach out to him. I know Kathleen was responsible, but
I'm
I
just
feel
gonna
like
say,
Justin
the
had a hand in
separation
it.
of the levels of government that
I know the
take care of,
separations of the levels of government. Thank you
transportation,
very much.
healthcare. Some do different things. You know.
Thank you, Catherine.
Isn't it Kathleen?
See, I didn't even know that.
Catherine Wynne.
I thought it was Catherine Wynne.
Is it Kathleen?
We'll have to look that up. We'll look it up.
Okay.
So, today is the second Wednesday of the month.
Yep.
So that means that we are doing an all kinds of crazy today.
Yeah, I know. That's why I did not prepare anything. I just showed up. And so what are you talking about?
Well, that was a bad idea because I'm putting you in the hot seat this week to talk about all kinds of your crazy.
Oh, you're serious?
I'm dead serious.
We're going to try and do this now the 15th time?
Yeah, you need to purge, honey. You need to purge and get it out. So we're gonna do it to a live listening audience. We're gonna purge. Let's talk about this.
We're talking about my crazy.
We're gonna talk about your crazy.
Okay.
When it started, where it's come from, where it's going, because crazy always goes somewhere.
Mm-hmm.
So I want to know. I want the dish.
Where do I begin?
Start at the beginning. That's usually the best part.
Of my what? Okay. Like you want like childhood, like birth, the birth canal?
Well, maybe not the birth canal. Speed it up a little bit to, what was childhood like for you? What was it like growing up with auntie and uncle?
It was pretty cool. My parents owned a home at the DVP in Lawrence, 4-bedroom house. I was an only child. I was able to pretty much get involved in anything that I was interested in as a child. I wanted to learn how to swim, so I did that. I learned to play the piano. I got extra lessons and tutoring for school. Pretty much whatever I wanted to do, I got to do. And then I was also exposed to the arts at a young age by my mom. We didn't really go see movies at the movie theater. We would go see plays, Broadway shows and stuff like that. I did a lot of traveling. Like, remember we were talking in that last episode about the things that a father and daughter should do?
Yes.
Yeah, so I did a lot of those things with my mom, traveling, and then her girlfriends as well, they allowed me to come along on things, and I got to see, Eastern Canada, got to see, parts of the US. Pretty much had a blessed life. I mean,
What was school like for you?
I was bored in school a lot because of all the extra tutoring and stuff that I got from my parents and stuff outside of school. I was typically really bored in school. I learned at a different pace, and I have different learning strategies that I've had to develop for myself.
And why would that be?
I guess when I was, I don't remember how old I was, but one of my teachers had said that, Julian seems to be showing behavioral problems. And I guess she was suggesting or leaning towards, at the time it was called ADD, to get just to take a look and get that checked out. And of course, my father being a West Indian man, he's like, no child of mine, is going to see a psychologist or, whatever type of doctor to have any type of, head things looked at or behavioral issues looked at. So that kind of affected me later in life, but I've learned how to work around it and get through it.
Okay, we can come back.
We come back to another time.
Yeah. So you were saying childhood was essentially picturesque. It was good.
Standard bullying. I mean,
I was your biggest bully.
Yeah,
obviously.
you're the reason why I
never gave you an inch.
You're the reason why actually. There's a really cool story about that because I have a thing. I don't really like people touching my stuff, what little stuff I have, or interfering with it, because I always feel that nobody's going to respect your stuff or treat it as nicely as you will. Mm-hmm. And you used to come to my place and just wreak havoc. You would just come in my room and it was like a tornado would go through it when you leave. And I would just be so...
I could have swore it was messy when I got there.
No, not a chance. Not a chance. Not a chance.
I guess we'll never know.
We can just bring my mother on and we can she'll vouch. I love the look on your face right now. But my mother had said to me, she's like, if you don't like someone touching your stuff, then you need to be vocal about it and say, I don't want you touching my stuff. But you need to recognize if you tell them not to touch your stuff, you shouldn't touch theirs. And that kind of lesson has lasted me my whole life. You see me, I don't touch anybody's stuff. When I come here, I don't touch anything, and I'm here all the time.
Yeah, that's true.
Right? So
it's kind of weird. It's kind of weird because my house is made for touching. Like, you just should be touching everything in my house. Like, there's textures everywhere. So it's very weird that you don't touch anything. Not even the plant. You won't even show the plant some love.
It's your plant. You should be willing to water it.
Stop it. I do water them.
I don't know. They look kind of
they're
suspect.
Fine. Yeah, but childhood was picturesque. So
yeah, it was okay.
Moving on from that, what was it like with your relationships? We talked about school, so let's talk about the relationships that you built. Friendships, romantic relationships. How were those?
I don't know. I've always felt that a lot of relationships are superficial. And I was always told that the people that you go to school with in high school, most of them you're not going to be connected to after you leave. So I always kind of had that in the back of my mind. So I was like, what's the point of me putting in all this time now to form these, supposed lifelong relationships when they're not really going to mean anything to me in a couple of years? When it came to romantic relationships, there were a couple girlfriends, and then there was my soon-to-be ex-wife. I guess we hooked up. I guess that's the term that they would have called it back
Yeah,
then.
hooked up.
Hooked up? Yeah, so that's the term. I guess her and I hooked up back in high school, and but there was nothing ever to come of it. It wasn't meant for anything of that sort. But then I left high school, and that's kind of when I came into my own, in my romantic relationships. I started to understand that I understood my worth, I guess, and I had no problem in the dating area. Fast forward, I guess 5 years or so, I run into my wife at a party, and we start talking for about 6 months. But during that period, I'm still doing my thing. I had just come off of I guess a year or a year and a half of just saying yes, like you were saying.
Yes.
After our grandmother died, I came home from that funeral, went back to school, and then that following weekend, I found out that my cousin had ovarian cancer, and the survival rate for that's like 0. So that was really, I was just like, oh shoot, like 2 people that are really like close to me are just gonna be gone just like that.
Yeah.
And they were the first 2 people for me that I had lost that were actually close to me. And that's when I think I started smoking a lot of pot. That's when it really started, around that time. And so I was on a bender, and then, fast forward the year and a half, and then I meet my wife when I'm coming up for air, a familiar face. So we, I guess, made things official probably about 6 months later. I had gone back to school to get my bachelor's, and I guess we were together probably now for about a year and a half, 2 years. I was having difficulty in school, so I was saying, you know what, I need to spend less time with my girlfriend and spend more time with school, because I was working, I think, 2 jobs at the time and going to school full time. So we had this conversation about, are we going to be together, or are we going to just break it off? And the conversation ended as, we're going to be together. But ultimately, she cheated. We broke up. And then that's when I had the say yes period that you're familiar with.
Oh, the yes period.
That yes period that you're familiar with. So fast forward, after that yes period, we get back together.
And what prompted that decision to get back together for you? What made you say, I'm going to take a cheater back?
It didn't really bother me.
And that didn't tell you anything?
And it did, yeah, in hindsight. And honestly, she was there at my beck and call, pretty much. I was in school, and when I wasn't in school, I was working. My schedule was full. So when I had free time, I wanted to let loose, and she was fun to let loose with. I mean, it's basically, having just someone, no work.
Warm body.
It's a warm body. It was cuffing season as well, right? So it was getting cold out.
What the hell is cuffing season?
Wintertime, summertime, you're trying to be single and just mingle, and then in wintertime, it gets kind of cold. You want to just, hug up next to someone near the fire.
Cuffing season.
Right,
my gosh. Stop it.
Yeah, so that ended up happening, and fast forward a year or 2, I was going through a phase where I guess I was reaching my late 20s, and I had this whole 5-year plan. I want to be done school. I want to have a job. I want to have a car. I want to be married. I want to be getting married. I want to be starting a family. All that stuff. By 30, whatnot. I just had that idea in my head, and well, she was there, and she was cool, and she seemed like she'd come along for the ride. She seemed like she was trainable. I guess is that the word?
Teachable.
Teachable. That's the word I was looking for.
Right word. She's not an animal.
She is not. Well,
that's debatable, but yeah.
Teachable. That's actually no. But that's actually what I meant to say.
But teachable.
Teachable is what I. That's
I would never want anyone to ever I'm teachable, but I would never want anyone to think they could
No. Teachable is exactly what I meant to say. I'm not. That's that's kind of, I was looking at you. What's the word?
Yeah, teachable.
Teachable. Okay. I thought, but it was something that I guess it wasn't possible. And I guess during this phase, when I went back to school, I changed a lot. I started meeting people that were more educated. I started surrounding myself with, positive people. A friend of mine, she wrote this book called Truth. And, I was just becoming more self-aware, and being aware of, global issues, and just, I was growing. And I thought that she was growing with me. Over time, some of my views changed, but we still got engaged. Early in the engagement, my father and I had a conversation, and he essentially told me that there's something off, and that I should watch out and take a look and start looking at her family, and just, he said, people show their ass, essentially, is what he said. And he said, just start paying attention. And then a good friend of mine said the same thing to me. And then
I would have said the same thing given the opportunity.
Yeah, you would have. And then my dad had a stroke, and my life started to spin out of control. Shortly before the stroke, I had just gotten the job of my dream job. I'd bought the car to match, and, you know, my girlfriend had become my fiance, and then overnight, my dad has this stroke, and I remember riding in the ambulance with him, and because I was home at the time, just because I'd slept in, and I happened to be home. We were supposed to be going on a vacation, and I'd slept in, and I'm in the ambulance, and the paramedic is just, there's a little concern, but it's that medical concern where they have that blank face, but you can still tell that there's something wrong, like really wrong. But I was like, you know, he goes to the hospital every now and then. He just comes home. This is going to be fine. You know, that's what's going on in my mind. And then I get to the hospital, and, you know, the paramedic's like, I'm really sorry. I kind of hope everything works out. You know, like one of those, like, not very optimistic type of tones she took, or I think it was a woman. Yeah. And then in the hospital, the doctors are like, we got to operate now, you know, and they're like going crazy. Like, we need to do this right now. We need to get him into surgery. And, you know, my mom now shows up after, and they're like, yeah, we need to take him to surgery. And my mom is out of it as well, because she says, I'm just going to go ask him what we should do. And the doctor's like, no. Like, he's having a stroke, buddy. You need to, like, make a decision right now. And so he goes into surgery, and after the surgery, he's in ICU, and everyone's leaving, and I'm there with him, and he looks at me, and he says, kill me. And that fucked me up. Like, that completely fucked me up. To see the person that you've looked up to for all these years, even though you might have had differences and disagreements about life choices and what or what not, but in that moment, it was like, I don't know what's going on right now. And that's when pot got reintroduced to my life. I spent countless hours at the hospital. My diet now has gone down to garbage, nothing but cafeteria food. My drug dealer delivers to the hospital. So I'm just smoking pot, and I'm just at this hospital. And eventually I go back to work, and I realize that I shouldn't be driving because of the drugs that I'm taking. So I asked my fiance, hey, look, you got to drive me to work, and then drive yourself to work, and then just come pick me up after, because I cannot drive right now. I should not be behind the wheel, you know. And I asked her, are you okay with this? You know, are you comfortable? Because she had just gotten her license maybe 6 months or 7 months prior. She says, yeah. She drives me to work, and then about 20 minutes later, I get a phone call from an OPP officer. He says, hi, is this Julian? I'm like, yeah. Okay, I just want you to know everything's okay, but, you know, your fiance was in a little bit of a car accident. And I just remember being a mix of anger and concern. So I pack my stuff up. I'm working in Aurora. She's in a hospital in, I think it was like Mississauga. So I truck it over there. And then when I see her and she's fine and she's smiling, I got angry because it seemed as if she just didn't care. Oops, I did it. Okay. Oh, well, we'll get another one. Like, that was kind of the attitude that she had. And I remember just feeling so much anger, and I just kept smoking and dealing with all this anger. And at the same time, I'm still planning a wedding. And
which is like the craziest part of this whole story right now for me.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
I was
the wedding
I was
is still on. I have no I as family had no idea what was going on. So
and I'm in checklist mode because I'm an analytical guy, so I'm in checklist mode. So I'm like, I made this commitment, I have to follow through with it, and I just keep going. And so we move in together, and my best friend tells me I don't have to do it, and I ignore her, and I still get married. So we got married at City Hall here because I was dead set against getting married in a church. The caveat to that was that she was able to get her princess wedding in Jamaica. So after the civil wedding, we take off to Jamaica, and now this is the first time in probably 2 years now that I'm sober, like stringing 3 days together. So we get to Jamaica, and I'm already married. And my friend says, you still don't have to do this. And in my mind, I'm like, I'm already married. It doesn't matter. So before the wedding, I meet with the pastor. I'm at the bar. I'm throwing back shots at the bar before the TV wedding. And the pastor has to say to me, hey, young man, I think you've had enough. He asked me if we were having any special vows. And that morning I woke up and I tried to write vows and I couldn't. And so I told him, no, we don't have any vows. We're just going to go with the book stuff, the stuff straight out the book. He's like, all right, do the wedding. And then shortly after the wedding, that's when, as we like to say, she showed her ass. Mm-hmm. And that's when all the, you know what, maybe she didn't show her ass. Maybe I just became aware of it then.
Yeah.
I mean, on my eyes, that's potentially what happened because she maybe was just the same way the whole time, and I just
your eyes were closed.
My eyes were closed.
They were wide shut.
They were wide shut. Yeah. Mm-hmm. So we get back to Toronto, and I'm now married to this girl, and I'm starting to see that she lacks what I consider to be house training.
Just basic qualities.
Yeah, so. We just weren't on the same page with anything. I was looking to settle down. She just wanted to turn up to the next level and wanted a partner to do it. So we fast forward a couple months, and I see a white patch on my wrist. I don't pay any attention, even though my mom's good friend worked in a dermatologist's office, and she always said, if you ever see a white patch in your skin, you go see the doctor, and I remembered it, and I just didn't want to do it. And then I saw a couple weeks later the matching spot on my other wrist. I start freaking out, and that's when I was never a really big drinker, but this is now when I started to drink. So now I'm mixing pot and alcohol. Mm-hmm. And I'm just, for lack of a better word, I'm wilding out. Like, I'm just doing it. I'm buying tickets to wherever I can go drinking and just party. I'm buying tickets. It's not a club. I'm buying tickets to go. Beer fest, concerts, you name it. Anywhere where I can just drink and just escape.
Like, drink to your face.
Drink to my face. Yeah. Like, I don't care how it's $15 a beer. I don't care. Just give me 4 of them. Like, mm-hmm. I make good money now. I'm gonna spend it. I don't care. I bought season tickets to the Raptors. Like, I just started.
I remember you took me to a game. Thanks for that, by the way.
I started doing a bunch of things because I was just like, I can't handle this. And I remember when I finally went to the doctor, and he nonchalantly said, "Yeah, it's vitiligo. Not much you can do about it. Don't stress, buddy." Go see a naturopath. I would recommend. That would be my recommendation if you're not gonna. If you want to do something, so I did that, and I start making changes in my life. Regardless of what I'm doing, the spots cover my hands. And now the one thing I remember is that when I first told my wife about this, the one thing she said to me is, at least it's not on your face. And that always stood out. And so now the spot appears in the corner of my left eye, and above my right eye, there's 2 spots, and I start seeing it on my face, and I start freaking out. And that's when I started to wear makeup.
How are you feeling at this time? Like mentally, emotionally, like how are you feeling about what's going on right now with your marriage, with what's being said, with the vitiligo? Like, how are you feeling?
I'm a complete mess because on top of this, I'm still tending to my father, once or twice a week. So I'm just in autopilot. I'm just go, go, go. I mean, I no longer have a car, so I'm waking up at, 5:00 to start my day. It takes me about an hour and a half to, in transit to get to work. And then there's also, a 1.5 kilometer walk after the bus. So I'm pretty much on the go from 5 a.m. until I get home around 7, so, and I'm in autopilot. I'm just go, 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 and my wife was constantly in a look at me state. And I don't know, it was just really hard to handle. And then on top of that, there were other things that were happening. So I felt defeated. So the first thing that happened that really started to push for me to really want to end things and start saying, you know what, I gotta get out of here. It was right after on our first anniversary, we went on a vacation, and I was like, okay, well, this is our honeymoon. We should be spending time together and doing things as a couple. But my wife was more interested in finding people to party with. And that was really just like, for me, I don't get it. What is it that you really want? You don't want to be married.
Mm-hmm.
You just want, you like the fact that I can fund your escapades, and that's what you like. You like the things that I can do for you. And so I started realizing that you don't care about me. And that's when you got in the picture, when I finally was at a breaking point and I just needed help. And even though no matter what I confided in my wife, there was nothing. I mean, so I mentioned to you that I just can't handle this anymore. I need out. And then me not knowing you were manic, because I normally would know, but at this point I'm just so messed up that
I was going through my own episode last year.
Yeah. So I'm coming to you, but you're in a state where you can't help.
And I told you this about bipolar, it's impulse control.
Yes.
So now I'm just like a bear.
Yes. So now
I'm
you're
like a beast.
You went into save JR mode. You went into no, we got to get rid of this girl. Like, she needs to go, and
she needs to go, and she needs to go now.
And that created so much stress in my life that it was either I was going to snap on my wife, or I was going to snap on you, or I was just going to go completely bonkers. And so, unfortunately, I snapped on you.
Yes, it's been forgiven.
Yeah,
ladies and gentlemen.
That kind
We've
of
moved on.
Ruined our relationship for a little while.
We got it back though.
We got it back. And so after this, around this time, I'm at work and I get a phone call from my credit card company. And they say to me, "Hi, Mr. JR, we noticed that you haven't made a payment. You've missed a payment." And, I'm like, "What? What are you talking about? I don't miss payments." I'm a responsible guy, and I went home and asked her about it. And her response was, "Well, I paid my credit card in full and there wasn't enough money to pay yours, so I just didn't pay it." And that was the beginning of me that was when I started clenching my fists. And as I started to stress more white spots started to appear. And then we had the incident that really just, this is one that really just, it was one of those financial literacy ones where I was just like, I don't even know how to deal with you. That honeymoon that I was talking about when we went on, she was supposed to pay the rent check before we left for vacation. We left near the end of the month, not the first where rent was due. So in her mind, she said, "Well, I'm not going to give them the check early." And I stood from the point, it's post dated. It doesn't matter if you give it to them now or we're not going to be here on the first. So you better give it to them now. They can't cash it till the first. It doesn't matter. And so fast forward 6 months, 7 months, I'm home by myself while she's out with her parents, and I get an eviction notice. I start doing the math. I figure it out. She says she swears she paid the rent. I'm like, okay, fine. Can you just go down and deal with it? Unfortunately, when we moved in, there was an incident where the super and I had a disagreement, and I just said, I'm not dealing with you. So she just dealt with them. After the eviction, or before the eviction could actually take place, me being in checklist mode again, I look for a new place, and I find one that's closer to her work than it is to mine. And I say, hey, your aunt lives in the same complex. Do you want to live here? Does this work for you? It's adding more time to my commute, but it's shortening yours. Does this work for you? We're only going to be here for a year. We're planning on traveling. Yes, we do it. We move in, and that's when all her true colors came out. I lost my cool at Christmas that year in front of her family. We'll talk about that another time. But actually, no, let's talk about that now.
Why not? We're dishing on divorce. We're dishing on it. Now.
Yeah, this is where my marriage ended. So this is the perfect spot. I'm totally depressed now. I just don't want to go anywhere except for homework. I don't want to do anything. My mother-in-law had asked, the only thing she wanted for Christmas was for me to cook dinner for everybody on Christmas Eve. No problem. So at this point, I'm super tired. I cook for about 15, 16 people. They have a tradition of staying up late. I asked my wife if I can just crash for 30 minutes because I'm going to break down. I can't handle it. She's like, okay, no problem. I'll wake you up. I set my alarm clock for 40 minutes, and in 8 minutes, she wakes me up. And I don't know. I thought there was something wrong. So I was like, hey, somebody hurt. What's going on? And then she's like, no, I just want to show you something. I lost it. Like, you don't respect me. What's your problem? Like, I'm just going to go home now. Like, I just kind of lost it. That was the end of our relationship. Because after that,
it's always the little things that get you.
Yeah. After that, it was just, I didn't care. And her cheating would follow. And, during this time, I was defeated. I mean, I watched as the person my wife cheated on me with ghosted her on Snapchat. I saw it happen right in front of me. She told me she was cheating on me when she was belligerently drunk, puked all over me, and I had to clean her up and shower her and put her to bed because we were not in our own home. We were out somewhere else, which then led to, I guess, my breaking point, the real, the rage moment where she finally was sober and was sober enough to tell me that she'd been cheating, and I just saw red. And I remember just counting down backwards from 5. I had just read the 5-second rule, and I was just counting down 5, 4, 3, 2, Lord. 1. And I remember in that moment, I just left the room, and I'm like, you need to leave. Like, that's it. Just get out. I can't do this anymore. You want drama all the time. You want drama. I don't do drama, but I can do drama now. And you're not going to understand the wrath that I'm coming with right now. You need to get out. And
that was fair. That was a very fair feeling.
And once I did that, it was like a relief because I just didn't. And that was the beginning of me starting to feel better. At least in the interim. She ended up coming home later, and during this time I got petty, and
things were said. You both kind of got.
No, this is the time where this is the situation where I had the wedding video playing when she came in, and then
oh Lord.
And then I had her take off the rings, and I had her transfer the money from the bank accounts, and I was just like, we're done. Like, and she was just like so in, like, I don't know, and like she didn't even know what was happening in that moment, and then as soon as the rings came off, I kicked her out. I was like, all right, you're no longer needed here. Get out. And I remember her walking out like the whole movie scene, and she was looked behind her, and I was like, no, I can't do this. I'm done. That's kind of where my mental health really, it started to change. I started to get a little bit better. But I wasn't good yet. So after doing this, I end up going into work the next day and quitting my job and, doing some reckless shit for a few months, taking off to Nicaragua. And I hit rock bottom though at, I think, the end of September. The only regret I have in this whole fiasco was something that happened at the end of September. And that really showed me that I was not well. We recorded this podcast, I think, back then as well, a few times. And, listening to it, because you have to listen to the stuff before you put it out. Me hearing myself talk that's when I realized there was a problem. There was a real problem with my mental state and what I was going through and the anger issues that I had. And that's really when therapy really, really began to kick in. And I began working through my issues, and doing this has helped a lot. I mean,
this is very cathartic. This is talk therapy at its finest right now. So it can be very, very cathartic. And I'm so glad that you mentioned that you're in therapy.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Oh, come on. That I had no choice. I mean, that girl did a number on me, man.
Yeah.
I mean, that was full take advantage, like the whole family. She
was zipped you up and zipped you out.
There's no way I could wake up in the morning now and be sane if I did not go and talk to somebody.
True.
And it made things it made me understand where the things that I did. It made me look at being more self-aware, even though I'm a pretty self-aware guy. It helped me be a bit more self-aware, and I recommend it. I recommend therapy to anybody that has a problem.
I have a therapist, so I think I have like 2 technically.
Do you?
Yeah, my social worker and my therapist.
Oh wow! So
and my psychiatrist.
So coming out of that depressed state, I mean, I started.
Do you feel depressed now?
No, I've got like a purpose smile on, like all the time. I feel great. I mean, the big thing for me was like my marriage. The only reason I didn't want to get divorced is because I really said that if I get married, I don't want to divorce. I don't want to. Like, I don't want to break this commitment. You don't have
examples of it around you.
I don't have examples of it around me, right? So, but the more and more people I meet, it's like, it's almost a regular thing here. It's like, I probably should have married her in my early 20s, got rid of this, got this shit out the way, and then, got that under the belt, move on. But yeah, I mean, today, I'm doing things that I love. Like, that's the thing. I'm back to doing the things that I loved. I mean, in my relationship, I stopped doing water sports,
You sacrificed.
I sacrificed a lot of things. Everything. I sacrificed a lot. I stopped DJing parties. That, and the thing is, that was my escape. Playing a party. Like, that was always my escape, getting away just in the moment. It's all music. I don't have to pay attention to anybody but the crowd, and that was always my thing. And then, getting married, and now I have to deal with this jealousy all the time of whenever I have a gig, it's, I got to deal with this angry woman. I mean, I would do gigs, and if, let's say it paid me $500, I'd take $100 bill out of that 500, I'd put it in my wallet, and I'd walk home and I'd give her the rest. I'd be like, yo, do whatever you want with it. I don't care. Let's just not take money out of our bank accounts. Let's, get groceries, do whatever you need, whatever side stuff. Let's use that right now and save the money because we want to travel. That's the kind of mentality that I had. Mm-hmm. So I sacrificed a lot, but now today I'm doing the things that I love. Like I was trying to get to.
Yeah.
I'm trying to figure what classes I've taken and what classes I'm taking right now. So I took a script writing class. I took a storytelling class. I'm taking, what am I taking this term? I think I'm taking public speaking this term. I'm back in the gym. I'm
eating healthy.
I'm eating healthy. I mean, you see me. I'm
eating quinoa that looks like maggot larvae. Everybody try to eat quinoa after that visual.
Oh my God.
You're welcome.
And I'm, my hobbies, I'm back doing that. I'm I'm just living my life. I'm doing everything that I love one day at a time. I'm not out here
in these streets.
Like, I'm not like, I'm
You're
not
not out here in these streets.
I'm doing
You're not moping and doping in bed.
No, I'm doing whatever.
You're living a full and productive life.
I've never had the opportunity to take this much time off and focus on personal projects.
It feels good, doesn't it?
And it feels good, and I'm happy I get to do it, and I enjoy doing it, and I'm meeting a lot of new people, and everyone around me that I'm meeting is totally supportive of what we're doing, and it's really neat. It's just we're being embraced, and I thought that with the vitiligo that I would no longer be able to meet women, and that was totally false.
We have an oyster bet on this. We got an oyster. We didn't tell you last episode what an oyster bet is, so we'll just quickly tell you right now. I love oysters. Had them for my birthday. Thanks again, J.R. But every time we make a bet, we say oyster bet, which is 2 dozen oysters or a vegan meal of J.R.'s choosing. So far, he's already lost once. So we have an oyster bet.
I'm not allowed to get married.
Yeah.
No, it's basically
you can't. The oyster bet is you can't be in these streets. Okay.
Well, no, it's more along the lines of I need to focus on me, and
yes,
that means that the projects that are important to me right now come first, and everything else comes second. Relationships, whether that be romantic or just.
I would consider you a serial monogamous, so maybe breaking that chain.
Serial monogamous?
Well, you were with the same person for the longest time.
Okay.
Like, I think monogamy is something. It's like is it your go-to? Like, do you like to wife people up really quick?
Not necessarily really quick by any means, but
6 months to me is quick.
Yeah, but we knew each other. That was a different story, right?
That's true.
For me, let's put it this way. I'm monogamous. I like. You're
monogamous.
I don't care what your number is, but as long as your number doesn't change while you're with me, we're cool.
That's fair.
So I guess I'm a monogamous. Like yeah.
What you went through is what's known as in the world of mental health, situational depression, which I don't think you mentioned.
Yeah, that's exactly.
Yeah, it was situational depression, and oftentimes it's exactly what it sounds like. Your depression is based on the situation that you are currently in. If you change your circumstances, then your mood will automatically change.
Yeah, it was for me. I stopped wearing makeup. I started going outside again. It was like, oh my gosh, it's beautiful out here.
Like you just came out of your hidey hole.
Yeah, it was just like,
and the world was like turning.
Yeah, and there's over the course of my relationship, there's been people in our family that had made little comments to me that kind of made me kind of think or realize that I lost myself.
I know exactly what you're talking about.
Like our Uncle R. I mean, I love to dance, and I'm usually the guy that's just, I don't care if I'm dancing with a girl, I don't care if I'm dancing by myself. I'm just gonna dance because I like to dance. And he noticed that I stopped dancing, and I
noticed you just were angry all the time. Like, just looking at you from the outside looking in, and I don't mean to interrupt you on this one. There were two sides to you, like almost a Jekyll and a Hyde when you were with this woman, and in this relationship specifically. Like, there was the fun-loving, outgoing JR, and he transitioned into this angry person when his wife was around. Like, if it was just you and I, like, for instance, the basketball game, we had a great time. That picture was like the selfie we took, genuine happiness I'm seeing on your face. But when I look at when I experienced us when we started trying to work together last year, and I would constantly be over at your place, like, there was too many. It was her, then there was me, and it was like the facade that you had created for the outside world just would break down. And it was easy for it to break down because it was me. We're very close, right? Yeah. But that facade, like like you said, people started noticing it, the cracks in your facade. So you're not laughing as much as you used to. You're not dancing as much as you used to.
Mm-hmm.
You look sadder. You look tired.
Yeah.
Because there's a physical change in people when they suffer from depression, and to a certain extent a little bit of anxiety as well. I can imagine you were going through with the vitiligo, so don't discount the anxiety that was around that every day you experienced.
Well, yeah, because what was interesting was that my wife was the only person for 2 years that saw my face. My own mother, no one.
I had no idea.
No one. And she would make fun of me, and and it'd be like, if I can't make fun of you, who can? And in my mind, I'm like, but nobody else knows, so it's only you.
It's only you, and you're causing me stress.
And you're causing me stress, and
yeah,
and I'm a very straightforward. I'm a very straightforward, direct person. I mean, anyone who knows me would say that. And so when I'm being direct and forward with her, saying what you're saying is hurting my feelings, like what you're doing,
she's not taking that in,
and you're not taking that in. It's just like, okay, you don't care.
No, and that's a fair estimation.
Yeah.
We know her character. We don't need.
Well, I don't want to. I'm not gonna bash her.
We're not gonna malign her character.
That's not gonna happen
over there. Yeah, but
we just weren't right for each other.
You weren't right for each other. That's what I'm gonna look at. Square peg, round hole.
That's all I'm gonna say. We just weren't right for her. Maybe there's some guy out there that's right for her. I hope she finds happiness, and that's it.
Square peg, round hole. That's all I have to say.
Square peg, round hole.
Yep. So, well, JR, thank you so much for sharing your story.
I feel like I rambled on.
No, it's because mostly I always talk, so it was different to be quiet for once. But yeah, no, it's such a struggle, what you're going through. It's a challenge. Divorce, I might joke and say, yay for divorce, but like divorce is not an easy thing to go through. It presents many different challenges, and although hopefully yours goes smoothly and continues to go, on the right course, there's a lot of people out there that are going through divorce right now that are experiencing the challenges of divorce. The hurt feelings, the ripping each other apart, the separation of stuff. If you have children, which, fortunately for you, you did not have children with this woman. If you have children, it's a dissolution of a marriage, so it's not to be taken lightly. And it's the mental health challenges that are faced as well are not to be taken lightly. The things that you're doing to make yourself better, make sure that you're well and change your situation. Those are things that I would recommend anyone doing for themselves, especially seeking counsel or therapy. It's so very vital and so very important. As I said to you guys, I have a therapist myself, and I don't know how I'd survive without her. So thank you again so much for sharing your story.
There's something I just want to add before we go. Anybody who's in Ontario under the age of 25, I mean, the government just passed a new pharmacare plan. So.
Oh, yes. You were telling me about this.
Yeah. So now medications to treat mental health conditions, antidepressants, and then, drugs to deal with attention deficit hyperactivity disorder. There we go. Drugs for those people that are under 25. I believe that they are available now.
And we will post that link. We'll post that link.
I was reading an article, so I just now that I'm thinking about it, that, because mental health, young, it's good. We always think of, our spiritual health, our physical health, but, we got to also look at our mental health, because without that,
we don't have anything.
Yeah.
Our spiritual and our physical won't amount to anything without the mental health. I know how deep my depression can get when I experience it, not wanting to get out of bed, not showering, barely eating. Like, it manifests itself in so many different ways. And I think for you it was the autopilot mode. It was definitely being an autopilot and check mark list. Like, doing that in your head, it's like you're not, like you said, you just came up for air one day and you turned around and looked around and this was what your life had turned into. And it was almost like you had no idea how you got there. Like, you've just been in a daze, so
it was almost like
depression takes on that form as well.
And then that's kind of the reason why I did that whole 72-hour purge.
Yeah.
Right? Like,
I remember that.
Because, you guys saw the place one day, and then within 3 days, it was like...
It was just done. It was just like everything was gone except for what was left in the freezer. Yeah. So, but again, thank you so much. If you guys want to hear more about what JR has been experiencing, what he's been going through, if you want any advice from a soon-to-be divorced guy, then definitely hit us up. If you want to say just shout out to me, again, hit us up. JR, please tell them how they can reach us.
You can reach us at Dysh, DYSH, at DaintyDysh.com, DaintyDysh.com. You can reach us you can check us out on Facebook. We got that page going now at at DaintyDysh. You can also check out Onika on Instagram, Best of Onika. You can check me out on Instagram, Best of JR. I don't really have much there, but you can check out Onika as well on Snapchat, Onika Dainty.
Love my snaps. They're live.
And once again, thank you for listening. If you're listening to us on Apple Podcasts, please rate us.
Give us a 5. We deserve a 5. Ow, ow.
If you're listening to us on Google Play Music, please keep listening. SoundCloud, please keep listening. YouTube, switch to another platform.
No, listen.
No, I'm just kidding.
Listen however you can.
I'm just kidding. Just listen however you can.
And tell them about our website.
It is DaintyDysh.com. And also, we have OnikaDainty.com. We are trying to release as much of Onika's writing this year as we can, because I just want to say that I've actually read some of your writing, and I'm very critical of people that I know they're writing, but no, it's good. I like it.
Thank you.
It's
I hope the listening audience likes it as well.
Yeah, definitely some good stuff.
For that.
You've got some gems from when you were like 18, 19?
18, yeah, I got some gems. I got a couple we're going to have some throwback Thursdays on that one.
Yeah.
So we got a couple gems, but tune in, keep listening, guys. Thank you so much. All Kinds of Crazy is a recurring series. We will be having it every second Wednesday of the month. So we definitely want you to listen. It's all about mental health and all about getting better. So thank you again so much for listening, and you guys have yourself a very happy hump day.